Well, welcome back to the High Volume Hiring Podcast. I am your co-host, used to say host, and this is episode 45. I am sitting in a different place, and we have a little bit of a different look this time. Some exciting news, and then we'll get to the real content with our guests. So, I am the founder and chief visionary officer of College Recruiter, job search site. We believe that every student and recent grad deserves a great career, and that it should be easy and inexpensive for employers to hire them. I have been talking with my longtime friend for the last while, Jeanette Leeds, and finally, I think talked her into it, coerced her, threatened her. I'm not sure what you want to say. But Jeanette is an industry veteran, fantastic TA experience, fantastic experience on a technology solution provider, and now is at AMS and is just an absolute perfect fit to be the co-host of this podcast. So, Jeanette, before I steal all your thunder, maybe tell the viewers a little bit about you, your background, et cetera, and then we'll introduce our awesome guest today.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you for inviting me to be the co-host. No arm twisting was necessary, which is great. I'm really excited about this and co-hosting. So let's see. I'll tell everyone what I do today. So today I am at AMS. I'm the managing director of Hourly, and the Hourly, it's a proprietary technology that focuses on the engagement and hiring of hourly workers, which we all know in this world can mean high volume, frontline, scale, blue collar. There's so many words to describe that. So I do that. So it's all about the tech, and I'm a real tech person at heart. I wear a second hat though at AMS as well. So I'm also executive vice president. Sounds really fancy. Where I sit on the America's executive leadership team for AMS, and I also focus on our high volume solution, the whole practice, which really is the combination of tech, people, process. And that's where I think really ultimately the magic happens, because I think we all know you can have the best tech in the world, but if you don't have good process or people working it, not so good, or vice versa, right? So I get to look at all of that and help bring that to market in the US and all the fun things from there. Just background, Stephen, you and I have known each other for, God, I think we figured out over a decade now. So
I think it's like 08, 09.
Yeah,
Or something like that. Yeah.
something like that. So, background wise, I started my career, I've been a practitioner for a million years, was on Wall Street, started as a campus recruiter. So I've known against Stephen in college recruiter for a million years, and then made the switch to, some would say, the dark side over, and was heading up Americas for Olio for many years, which is a recruiting technology player in the space. So that's me in a nutshell. And I am not Wonder Woman, although sometimes if I do, I got another nice.
You absolutely anticipated it. She's, you got the Superwoman pose behind you.
So,
yeah.
I'm thrilled to be here. And, over to the meat of today, episode 45. With Matt, who I think we've all known each other for many years now. So
yeah. So Matt, maybe you can tell the viewers a little bit about you, the Recruiting Future podcast, your consultancy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everyone. I'm Matt. Thank you very much for having me on the show. My main role in life, my main professional role in life, is to run the Recruiting Future podcast, and I think I have the luckiest job in talent acquisition, because I get to speak to practitioners and TA leaders on a weekly basis. I think recent count, I'm probably up to about 600, 650 people that I've spoken to in the last few years.
Wow.
So I get a great sense of what's going on, what people are thinking, and all that kind of stuff. So I do 2 podcast episodes a week. I've also written a couple of books on talent acquisition, and I do some consulting as well around, innovation in the space. And obviously, such an interesting time at the moment with everything that's going on, and the sort of the quantum leaps that we're seeing in technology over the sort of the last few months and years. So yeah, fascinating times.
And for those paying attention to accents and locations, So 3 people, 3 different countries right now. So Jeanette is near New York. I am usually in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but vacationing in Montreal, Quebec. And Matt, you're in Edinburgh, Scotland. Is that?
I'm in
am I correct?
Scotland. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm English. I have an English accent, but I live in Scotland.
Awesome. So we're well represented. So meat of the conversation before we let all of our time go away. Matt, we wanted to talk with you because I think you've got some really great insights on automation and personalization. And I think in our discussions before, we talked about how those are not mutually exclusive. Talk with us a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. I think that everyone will recognize that there is a move towards automation in recruiting at the moment. And, without going into it too much, I think it's an inevitability that will happen. I think if we look at, lots of other things that we do in our lives and how technology-driven automation has come into those, I think that, that is definitely happening with recruiting. And I think that, there's always kind of been a feeling that, hang on a minute, recruiting is this very human activity. We can't let the machines take over. The candidates will hate it. It's never going to happen. And I think the opposite is actually true. I think that the technology that we have at our disposal right now, and certainly in the future, means that we can do personalization at scale in a way that we've never been able to do before. I think that one of the core skills of any great recruiter is those human skills of persuasion and empathy and all those kind of things. But when the internet came along, we had to do lots of things at scale, and we've never been able to do personalization and empathy at scale, which I think leads to some of the issues that we have with candidate experiences today. But I think we're moving to a place where personalization from technology is very possible, really, really interesting. But also personalization from freeing up human recruiters to be able to spend more time, talking to humans. So I think there's two sides to it. And I just don't think you can have automation without personalization.
I agree 100%. And it's that intersection between that automation and personalization. It doesn't have to be an either or, and that's okay. I think one thing I keep hearing about when I talk to different people around the word personalization, like, what does that mean? What do you think that means? Because, there's not a standard definition. And so I'm curious.
There isn't. No, I think you're right. I think to me, it's the ability to offer people an experience that feels like it's personalized or recognizes them as an individual. And I think that we can do this throughout the whole gambit of talent acquisition. So, central to it is obviously the recruiting process. How do you make people feel that they're being seen, that even from the perspective of not having to input the same data 6 times, actually just from the simple process of, I put my data in once and you recognize me all the way through the process, from that perspective. But also, things like feedback. I think there's I've seen some interesting things in terms of people providing automated feedback that is personalized to that individual. And then I think in recruitment marketing, I think we can learn a huge amount more about the people that we reach out to and how we can better tailor the outreach that we do. I mean, I think that the fact that we're still in an era where people are getting LinkedIn messages addressed to hi first name illustrates how far we have to go. So to be honest with you, I think to start with, the bar is quite low in terms of just getting people's names right and not having them input things multiple times. But I think it's just creating that experience where people feel that they're being recognized, even if it's by a computer, as as a person. And also, the process is just frictionless and really simple and great to go through.
Oh, that really resonates with me. The bar being so low and the dear first name. I think I must get one of those every day. I think we've got time for one more question, Matt. If you would, are there organizations that you've seen that you can say, wow, they are doing a really great job. Maybe they still have some areas that they can improve in, but this organization, maybe they've made a massive improvement in the last year. Maybe they've always been good at this, at being both effective and efficient, being personalizing and yet also to automating.
Yeah, I'm going to be very harsh here and say no.
Okay.
And I think the reason for that, I think there are lots of organizations who are really, trying to improve their candidate experience, provide that personalized feedback. There are some fantastic things going on. The reason that I say no one is I haven't seen an organization chain everything together yet. So and I think a part of that is because we're also looking at quite disparate technologies. How do you join them together into a kind of a personalization platform, if that makes sense? But I don't think as an industry we're really achieving the potential of the tools that we've got, and there's all kinds of different reasons for that, and it's a complicated thing. But I think that I'm seeing people do some brilliant things in pockets, in parts of their process, in parts of their approach. But I've yet to see everyone do it all the way through. If someone is doing it all the way through, then I would love to have them on my podcast to talk about it.
Jeanette, are there any organizations that you can think of that or that
what I think is really interesting, again, the title of this podcast, high volume hiring, right? And for so many years, the default type of recruiting that we think about is, I call it regular recruiting. It's professional hiring. And it's so unique, the high volume, right? That this scale, it is a unique, different personas of candidates and hiring managers and whatnot. And so, this type of recruiting really is starting to get its time in the sun right now over the past really couple years. Because before that, I mean, most content, most information out there wasn't really focused on it. So now it's like a little bit more and more. And so I think with that, we'll start to see more and more examples of organizations that are really doing it, from the entire process. I agree with Matt 100%. I'm trying to think, I should say, hey, yeah, some of our customers are doing this, but there's still this opportunity to improve. I mean, it was interesting. We just did a study of high volume employers asking to respond, like, what are the issues? And like over 50% are still have this administrative burden on them. I mean, it's 2023. I started in recruiting back, over 20 years ago. So that was still the issue, right? And it's still today, 20 years later. So we still have a ways to go. So it's time. Let's figure this out and, do some fun stuff with the human side versus, let's get rid of this admin burden. So
from a figuring it out standpoint, there's no better person than Matt. If you're not already a listener, I listen to every episode, Matt. Sorry. So if you get one listener a week, that's me. I know it's a lot more than that. But any closing words, Matt?
I think just to agree with what you're saying about high volume hiring. I think that's where the innovation is at the moment. The need for speed, the competitiveness of the candidate market, I think, are driving innovation. And as you say, lots of companies have got a long way to go, but I think we're seeing some great automation, some great focus on candidate experience. And to me, and that's been reflected actually in, the last few guests that I've had on the podcast, to me, that's where all the innovation is at the moment. And I think other areas of talent acquisition could learn a lot from some of the things that are happening in this sector.
Hear.
I couldn't agree more.
It's a fun space and it's a fun time to be in it. Jeanette, Matt, thank you so much. This has been great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Cheers.